can be more intentional about caring for abandoned or orphaned children, and just how we can create a culture of adoption. If you and your spouse have struggled even with the idea of conceiving and are very eager to start a family, perhaps this is something that you'd like to think about. You can even get your answers, you'll get your questions answered today on the show. So let's talk about the adoption process, or even birthing through adoption today. I want to welcome my very able guests to studio. We've got Pauline Gikanga, who is a counselor and founder of Wawira Counseling. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shiko.
Shanice Kimenyi, who is a family lawyer, joins us as well. She's right here next to me. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Shiko.
And also with us is Grace Ekambi, who is an officer in charge at Little Angels Network Adoption Society. Grace, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so before we begin this conversation, I'd like to share the question of the day with you, just in case you would like to contribute to our discussion. We ask, what do you believe would be the biggest challenge adopted children have integrating into a new home? What would be the biggest challenge adopted children have integrating into a new home? Yet again, our handles are at the bottom, and so is our WhatsApp number. If you'd like to call, we'd love to hear your voice. All right, so maybe I can start off with you, Pauline, around the... There are people, even into their... comes with the idea that I am adopted. Looking at adoption as a taboo.
Let me say possibly in the African context. I mean, there's this thing of the child must have your blood.
Yeah.
You know, that child is not ours. She's not our blood. So I would say that that's where the taboo is. You know, this child is not the blood. It's not our blood.
Yeah.
So then how then can we call her or him ours? And so for this child who you say who is old and is not able to admit or say that I was adopted,
yeah,
I would not so much put it on them, like why wouldn't they? Because possibly it's because of how it was brought out to them.
Yes.
You know, because if the parents were not able to bring it out to them also openly, so then it means even the parents themselves were not comfortable with the fact that they adopted.
Right.
And so what you're not comfortable with, you can only give what you have. So if I show my child, then I'm not comfortable with it, I'm hiding it, we even move from where we are. Some children get to know, Shiko, when their parents pass away. So then unless somebody, because of course people are of different temperaments, there's somebody who is able to just realize this is it, I need to face life. But there's someone else who is not able to have the strength from within to come out and be confident and say that, yes, I was adopted.
Okay.
So it is how it was brought out to them that, of course, shows how they'll be able to receive it.
Right.
But there's still, of course, a lot of, because it being a taboo, a lot of stigma around adoption. Yes.
Okay. Grace, moving over to you in terms of trying to understand the system and why there is such a challenge, if you will, in absorbing abandoned children and orphaned kids. When you even look at a situation like got street families, street children, why is it so hard for our system to take in more and more of these children?
Thank you for that question, Shiko.
Yeah.
As we've seen, there's a lot of over-reliance on CCIs, charitable children institutions, on getting in children, because that's like the only alternative care option that we know of. So the challenge there might be that the CCIs are overwhelmed. There's a lot of things going on in getting the children in and also getting the children placed in families. But so far, there's a lot that's happening. A lot of policies and guidelines are being made on alternative family care options, which is a good thing. And also we are trying to educate the public on how to what to do, how to go about handling an abandoned child. Instead of taking the child and going with the child home, we now tell them you need to start with the police, go to the office of the children's office, and then, you know, from there the stakeholders will take the child to an institution and maybe transition that child into family-based care. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shanice, I think the law is very murky for a lot of people when it comes to the issue of adoption. What can you tell us as to, you know, what the parameters are, what kind of framework has been set up for the adoption process?
Yes, you do have a point.
Yeah.
That our laws are still quite a little bit outdated. But it's covered.
Yeah.
The law does cover adoption, does recognize adoption, does provide a framework for adoption. Yeah, so essentially it is covered. It is something that is legalized, something that the parliament has accepted as part of a way to create a family. So they indicate there are two ways to get a child, either give birth or through adoption.
Right.
And these children become yours in every right possible.
Would you say that there are some sections of the law that are quite overlooked today from your practice?
Yes, there may be here and there, and it's also because of education, sensitizing people that these are your rights, this is what you're allowed to do.
Okay.
But there are some that are overlooked, and the best we can do is try through the societies to educate, and the CCIs to educate people.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so as someone who's interested in adopting, you've just mentioned my rights. Break it down for us as much as you can, you know, briefly.
Yes. You are supposed to identify an adoption society.
Yeah.
There are about 5 in the country currently. 2 of them have their licenses, that is Little Angels and Bakna, Kenya, and the rest are working on getting their licenses because for a while none had a license without the committee. So you're supposed to identify an adoption society, go there for an interview, and they will, you know, they'll do counseling, they will come to your place, you know, they will essentially see whether you qualify as an adoptive parent. There's paperwork that you're supposed to present to the society.
Right.
So once the committee of the society sits and approves you as a parent, then your profile will be matched with the child. You don't go and select a child. No, your profile is matched.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't select because, because you can imagine human nature. Everyone will want maybe a girl who is light-skinned. But they will match you according to your profile. So you'll find at the end of the day, your child actually looks like you.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that because I'm very curious to actually how that, you know, how they end up pairing or matching parents and kids. But do you think there's a negative impact, though, Pauline, when you look at institutionalized care? What kind of impact does this have on a child's emotional development, especially?
Well, definitely, like I said earlier, people have of different temperaments. So there's a child who psychologically, emotionally, and physically, socially and psychologically will be able to get it well, you know, take it positively, that this is what happened to be, even if this is what happened to me, and because of this and this, and then they are told the backgrounds. So, and that's why we say it's very important for each parent to learn the kind of character their children are at. So they know how to deal with them. But yes, definitely, we are human beings. There will come a time when they really conceptualize the issue of, I was actually adopted. So it means that I was abandoned. You know, my mother, my parents didn't like me. Is it that they didn't like me? So, and that's why when they are older, they get to a place of, can I find my roots? Would I just, and they are able to tell their adoptive parents, and would I find my roots? And I would always, we are adoptive parents, me and my husband.
Right.
And so one of the things we say, if our daughter would want to know, and we have a way, you know, like through her files, our child's issue was total abandonment. So it may be difficult. But if there were traces, why not?
Right.
Because for them to just come to terms with, even if it's the village, like maybe they were around this place, just to be able to feel okay. But I think for every child, yes, depending on the temperament and how they are, they still should be able to, they'll still struggle in one way or another. But how the adoptive parents will be able to help them navigate, you know, affirm them, you know, just like children who are biological.
Yeah.
You know, there are children who struggle. They have their biological parents, but they still struggle with identity issues.
Okay.
Maybe an absent family.
Yeah.
I mean, an absent parent.
Okay.
So it really depends on that, how they are growing up, how they are being affirmed, how they are being told about it. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Even as we are about to take a short commercial break, Grace, because I understand we've got about 10 minutes. Very quickly, I need to understand the social worker and the kind of decision, a very tough decision that they have to make. What is it that social workers look out for to understand whether or not a parent is ready and is capable of adopting a child?
A social worker's mandate is to assess the parent and the suitability of this parent in taking care of a child.
Yeah.
So we have the law that guides us on what to look at and look for. Of course, the law also stipulates who can adopt, who cannot adopt. So with all those guidelines in place, we are able to write a good report, which is taken to a team of professionals called the case committee, who actually make the decisions for us.
Yeah.
So our job as social workers is to assess and make sure that these parents are suitable to take in a child, and also look for children and declare those write a report so that the child is also declared free for adoption, because not every child who is in an institution is free to be adopted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we are learning a lot. I have just found that out.
Yeah.
I want to engage a little bit more on that in just a moment, but allow me to take a look at what's coming through our WhatsApp line. And remember, we do have that question of the day for you. If my director can also put that up on the screen. We're asking, what would be the biggest challenge adopted children have integrating into a new home? What would be the biggest challenge adopted children have integrating into a new home? Okay, there's one text message there that says, "Morning, Shiko. I am Andy from Eldoret and I have always wanted to adopt a child, but I am single. Kindly ask our guests if I can adopt a child." Grace. All right, a single parent capable of adopting?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. A single parent, if you're male, the law says you can only adopt a male child for your first child.
Yeah.
If you're a single female applicant, you can adopt a female child for your first child. But after that, you can adopt either gender. So yes, you can adopt as a single parent.
Okay, and that's exactly why our panelists are here in the studio to answer your questions. Should you obviously be considering to adopt a child, this is a great opportunity to talk to Pauline, Shanice, as well as Grace as to any questions you may have. Let's take a short commercial break, and then when we get back, there's more coming. All right, so I understand they are definitely still working on more text messages and, of course, that particular break. As we wind up and get to that commercial break, apologies for that. Let's get back to you, Pauline, and obviously engage you about, for you as a parent, what questions should you be asking yourself if you're struggling with this?
If you're struggling with the fact that...
Yes, that you want to adopt, what kind of questions should I ask myself?
Should I ask myself? I mean, first of all, who are you?
Yeah.
I mean, what defines you? Because at times we are defined, I keep saying we are defined at times by what people say about us. Because there are parents who will adopt because they are not able to biologically have a child, which is okay because they will enjoy parenthood in that way. It's just another way of having a child. There's a parent who will adopt not because they don't have biological children, but they just want to adapt. To adopt a child. So I think for me, and is especially what defines you. I mean, how do you live your life? What's your culture as a family? So when you're able to do that, then you'll be able to go on and make that decision as a family. Of course, you need to ask yourselves, there are many things that people will ask you along the way about it. Will you be confident enough disclosing to your child that they were adopted? Because that's at times we feel like when we don't disclose to them is when we love them. But I think it's the other way around.
Right.
Loving them is disclosing to them because it's their right to know. So if you're not, if you don't feel confident enough that you'll be able to tell your child that from early on that they were adopted, then I'm not sure. You need to work on that first, the confidence to do that. Then, of course, your family, you know, a child belongs to a larger family. Yes, my spouse and myself would agree to adopt a child, but then again, we could pass away. What happens to that child? Actually, in the legal process, they'll ask you to write the next of kin and all that. So you have to be aware then you have somebody who believes in your vision of adopting. Because I've had people who want to adopt and say, my parents said we couldn't adopt because they don't believe in a child not being our own blood.
So yes, now you're literally an island alone.
Exactly. And you don't want that. You don't want that for your child. So of course in the larger family, you will get people who are okay with it. Because then again, even if they refuse, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go ahead. But you have to have people who would, guardians, who would take over your child.
And you know, I think this ties into my next question for you, Shanice, because I would imagine when it comes to issues of succession and inheritance, it puts an adoptive child in a very awkward position. Because how do they secure what ideally should be theirs, but then again, they are not the biological child? Tell us how to navigate that issue.
All right. Once the High Court, and you can see how serious an adoption is, it's not handled by the Children's Court, it's handled by the High Court.
Wow.
So that is, it shows how serious it is, and the judges are trained in this. But once the court order is given, this is your child. There is nobody who can come and oppose you.
Yes.
Which means the child has a right to inherit from you. That is why in adoption you have to select, Pauline said, your next of kin or legal guardians. Who will even also appear in court and say, yes, we understand what the parents are doing and we are ready to step in, you know, should anything happen to them. And so you'll find in succession cases that the court will actually give the properties to the legal guardians to hold on behalf of this child. So this child is very much your child. And this child can sue the legal guardians in case the child is neglected.
So the law actually protects these adopted children.
Yes, it does. More than
And it's true, because I can imagine how unfair or how cruel that would be, that you have been in a house for 18, 20 years, and at the end of the day, only to be left, you know, alone, without, so to speak, having a family. And in issues when it comes to how to encourage an adoptive parent and a child to bond and thrive and build a relationship. Grace, how do you go about it? And I think this is even more of like mentorship when it comes to, you know, the adoption process, because this is a stranger, so to speak. You're meeting this child for the first time. How are you able to ensure that, you know, there's that bonding that starts?
At the home stage, after the matching has been done, as Shanice mentioned earlier, you go to the home and you bond with the child. The home says that you need to bond with the child for, it can take even 2 weeks. You visit the child every single day, stay with the child throughout the day, and create that bond. Get to feed that child, get to bathe that child, get to, you know, take that child to bed to sleep in the evening. So by the time that child is leaving the institution and coming to your house, you guys have already created a rapport. So at the time you're going home, it's not who's this person who has just, you know, popped into my house, and also the child is not wondering, who are you, why are you taking me from a place that I know and bringing me to a space that I have no idea about. So there's that bonding that you do in the institution, and it's pretty thorough, and the social workers in the institution and social workers at the Adoption Society are there to help you through the bonding in case you get any challenges along the way.
Okay. WhatsApp is already quite active. I think we've got some questions or at least some feedback from our viewers. We'd like to share that with you. One says, I'm Gilbert watching from Kamirai. Is there law which protects adopted children? Okay. Shanice?
Mr. Gilbert, the Children's Act actually does protect adopted children, makes sure that all the rights guaranteed in Article 53 of the Constitution are all cared for, which means you give the child a name, an identity, religion, shelter, every basic need, entertainment, which is now also a need, and education.
Let's see another text message, Bwana Director. All right, I am 23 years old. Can I adopt? Ama lazima ukue na miaka ngapi? Pauline, take that one.
I think Grace would be, that's the agency, the
yes,
age.
Grace, can I be in campus and adopt someone?
Well, the law says you need to be between the age of 25 and 65.
Right.
So you can be in campus and adopt as long as, again, you know, you need to show that you're able to provide care, love, and support to this child. So, yes.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest issue there.
Exactly.
It's not even really about the age, it's about the provision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good point there. Keep those text messages coming. We are going to be sharing them with our panel today as we talk about birthing through adoption. Should you be considering it? Do you have any questions at the back of your mind? Especially if for you and your spouse, you know, we want to really help individuals who are struggling with, of course, starting their family. This could be something that you would like to consider. And so continue talking to us through the social media platforms at K24 TV and through our WhatsApp number. And also call us, by the way. We'd also love to hear from you. We'll be back with more.